Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. Newsflash: Elon Musk wants to be paid in Bitcoin. What have I been saying? It's only a matter of time before Elon goes all in on Bitcoin, so I definitely want to talk about that. Also, give you guys a weekend update. What has happened with Bitcoin? It's still holding above 40,000, but there's some interesting developments, and I want to share it with you guys. So I started to stream a little early. I know a lot of you guys been waiting for over an hour. You guys must really have nothing to do, or you're really excited about me streaming. So let me get started. As always, I have these streams every weekday, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, but I do have them periodically at night, like this one, whenever there is something important to talk about, like Elon Musk wants to be paid in Bitcoin. Is it going to be true? Is he going to buy more Bitcoin? Is he going to get Tesla to buy Bitcoin? We'll see. We'll see. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and let's get started. For those of you guys that's ready in, like I said, thanks for waiting for such a long time. So, Bitcoin is at 40,600. So this whole day has been actually kind of tame, right? Just kind of holding at $40,000. So I'm going to come back to this, but right now, Bitcoin is doing good. There's no sudden drops, no sudden pumps. The last few weekends, we had Bitcoin go up in a big way, but right now, it's kind of like, just kind of holding, right? That's not a bad thing to let things cool off. But let's get to the breaking news, the flash news. So a few weeks ago, you guys heard of this, right? Pretty popular story. NFL football player Russell Okung becomes the first NFL player to be paid in Bitcoin. Not really. It turns out he's just going to take half his salary. He's going to use some kind of service that's going to be converting into Bitcoin for him. So not really, but yes, right? And he's been tweeting a lot about Bitcoin. He has always said that he wants to be paid in Bitcoin. And guess who's following in his footsteps? Elon. This is the one I'm talking about. People are searching. They're like, where did Elon say this? Well, he actually replied to someone. Ben here. Wait, I didn't show. Oops. Good thing. I need to change my screen. Otherwise, you guys don't see what I'm saying. Okay, hold on. Let me fix this. Because I had this problem before. There we go. Okay, there we go. So this was a story I was talking to you guys about before, right? Russell Okung. So take a look at Elon now, right? Look at this reply. Look at this reply. Ben Mesrich. I'll tell you one thing. I'm never turning down getting paid in Bitcoin again. And guess who chimes in? Elon Musk. Me neither. So this is not something that he started, but it's something that you know is on his mind. Elon has been talking a lot of crypto and Bitcoin recently. You know that it's on his mind. You just know at this point that Michael Saylor did have that conversation with him. He did share his playbook with Elon. And I know for a fact that Elon is thinking hard about Bitcoin. Now that both, okay, not only is Bitcoin going to the moon, Tesla is going to the moon, right? And Tesla's going to the moon. I think it's because the same thing why Bitcoin is going to the moon. First of all, assets are going up. Second of all, you have a lot of Tesla zealots, just like Bitcoin bugs, Tesla zealots, right? So how do you keep that momentum going for Tesla? They're already worth $800 billion. How do you make it into a $2 trillion or $8 trillion company? Well, of course, you still advance, you make better cars, and you go to the moon, or Mars, I should say. But another way is for Tesla to just announce they're going to do what MicroStrategy did, to take some reserve money and put it into Bitcoin. Right? And for Elon himself to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to pay myself in Bitcoin, or I'm going to put some of my $190 billion worth of net wealth into Bitcoin. Any of these three things that happen, and if it gets announced this week, it will literally double Bitcoin overnight just from the attention and from the hype. And this is what Michael Saylor said in terms of how Elon could generate $100 billion worth of, I guess, value to Tesla overnight, is basically declared that he's going to buy some Bitcoin. That's it, right? And it just makes a whole lot of sense. You know, Elon is working really hard at getting people to try to go to Mars. So why would they use fiat? I mean, it just makes no sense, right? It has to be some version of crypto, and why not be Bitcoin, right? So this obviously is very big. I know it's a small little tweet saying me neither, but obviously he's paying attention to Bitcoin. He's looking at all the Bitcoin tweets, and you know it's on his mind. So sooner or later, this is going to happen, right? I'm looking forward to it. Of course, Bitcoin is not on just Elon's mind. Everyone is starting to pay attention. I'm seeing in the chats. I'm seeing on Twitter. I'm seeing everywhere. Everyone is talking about Bitcoin, and everyone is starting to talk about like, hey, I need to sell this or this and this again to Bitcoin. Well, I just found this story. 2 New York bars from one owner could make U.S. history by selling for Bitcoin. So Patrick Hughes has 2 bars in Hell's Kitchen, Hellcat Annie's, and Scruffy Duffy. So maybe some of you guys are from New York and you have been to these bars before. But he has put up both of these bars up for sale, and what he wants is Bitcoins or Ethereum. 25 Bitcoins or 800 Ethereums, value about $875,000. That is what he's looking for, right? But he's doing it because he's like, hey, I want Bitcoin. I want Ethereum. I want crypto. I don't want cash, right? So I think someone's going to take him up on this. But yeah, so it kind of shows you Bitcoin is not just on Elon's mind. It's on everyone's mind, right? But I will say, warning though, because I have heard of someone say, people say, you know what, I'm going to sell my house, or I'm going to take a home equity or something. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's just asking for trouble. You never invest more than what you're willing to lose, or what you could lose, what you can lose, right? Meaning that, hey, if you do sell your house, that's something that you need, right? Something that you live in, and you take a risk by selling to buy Bitcoin. I know it's a huge risk, and we all know Bitcoin is going up, but in the off chance it doesn't, and it tanks to zero, well, now you're out of a house, and now you're living on the streets, right? So you don't want that to happen. You never overextend yourself, right? So hopefully people that have been saying that is kidding, okay, that they're not actually doing it so, but yeah, I think this is a little bit different with Patrick Hughes. Obviously, he has some money already that he just wants to get paid in Bitcoin. So a little bit different. All right. So I talked about Elon, talked about Bitcoin. Let's just update this on. This is not Asset Dash, although AssetDash.com also does this, but AssetDash.com does not add in gold and silver, where this website called CompaniesMarketCap.com does. So unfortunately, because Bitcoin fell down a little bit from 41,000, 42,000, Bitcoin now slid below Facebook. They were just above Facebook yesterday and closing in on Tesla and Google. Google is just huge. I mean, it's huge, right? But the main thing is Bitcoin keeps going up and up and up and up. And pretty soon it's going to surpass silver, which is a major accomplishment. I know everyone talks about gold. Gold is still far off, right? But the fact that it can soon be worth more, and I'm talking about Bitcoin. Bitcoin could be worth more than silver. That's just enormous. Keep in mind, these figures like gold and silver, this is not just like the physical metals. This is actually including paper, like ETFs and futures and options and all that stuff. And there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that out there. So Bitcoin is doing this without really any of that, although Bitcoin ETF could be around the corner and so forth, right? And Bitcoin futures and stuff and options is still relatively small. So this number is actually pure, what Bitcoin is really worth. And it just keeps going up and up and up. Who knows, by the end of next week, Bitcoin could be at 60,000 by the end of next week. Is that really unreasonable to think at this point? No. And if so, it'll be bigger than silver. So Bitcoin keeps doing this, just keeps going up and up and up and up. But like I said at the beginning, if Elon does anything with Bitcoin, if he tweets out or announces he's buying some Bitcoin, or he's going to demand that Tesla pays him in Bitcoin, or he announces that Tesla is going to buy some Bitcoin, right? It would shoot up not only Tesla, but it would shoot up Bitcoin like boom, like right up here, like almost instantly. So I'm looking forward to that. All right, what else is there? I found this. Morgan Stanley boosts stake in Bitcoin-laden MicroStrategy to 10.9%. Morgan Stanley, a big bank, now owns close to 800,000 shares of MicroStrategy, bringing its total ownership in the company to to 11%. That's pretty big. I've talked about MicroStrategy. Of course, you guys know about MicroSailor, MicroStrategy, the story. I don't think I need to repeat myself again, but he did buy $1.1 billion worth of Bitcoin, which is now worth $2.9 billion. So that's a cool $1.7 billion. Remember the $650 million of debt he raised? He could easily pay that off now. Easily, because he already netted close to $2 billion of profit. Already within 4.5 months. So it's no surprise that MicroStrategy stock is so hot. It's been so hot. It's up like 300% already since August. And now you're seeing big banks buy into it. What does that mean? Morgan Stanley isn't buying MicroStrategy because they like what MicroStrategy is doing as a business intelligence company. No, they're buying it because they want exposure to Bitcoin. This is an indirect way for them to get exposure to Bitcoin, right? So you gotta read in between the lines, right? Why else is Morgan Stanley boosting their shares on MicroStrategy? It's not like their business changed. No, it's because they own close to $3 billion worth of Bitcoin. That is the simple reason why, right? Now, who else is making money hands over fist? Well, Bitcoin miners. Bitcoin miners saw 33% revenue increase in December. Bitcoin miners generated an estimate close to $700 million in revenue in December alone. Right? That is enormous. That's enormous. You could see why this is really like, I see this as like, the oil drillers, right? The old money from Middle East. So all these guys, just they built their empires, with oil, right? And they're like beyond wealthy, billions and billions upon billions. I see Bitcoin miners being the same thing. It's a new age, new race, right? You have these miners that are absolutely huge, spread around the world, and they keep increasing their hash rate, right? Which increases the difficulty, but they're all in it because they want every last Bitcoin there is. It's a huge competition. It's a finite supply. It's going to end someday, and they want as much of it as possible. So, of course, the miners, it's like, that's the best way to think about it at least that's how I think about it. And of course, when the miners keep spinning up more and more and more and more miners, look at the total hash rate of the Bitcoin network. It is now at all-time high. And that's not a surprise. Of course, it would be at all-time high, right? Because Bitcoin profits is good. I mean, literally, it seems like every week Bitcoin goes up by 50% now. And it's just pretty amazing, right? So it's really good time to be a Bitcoin miner. Now, some of you guys have asked me about whether or not it's profitable to, say, buy an ASIC miner and start mining. At this point, yes, it is. But the payback time is still quite long, maybe about 6 to 8 months. But afterwards, it's pretty much pure profit. But the thing is, you have to keep in mind that there's like electricity costs, heat that you have to worry about and stuff like that. So it is profitable over a long haul, but don't expect that you're going to get paid back right away because there's the cost of the machine and electricity and heat that you have to worry about. All right. 3 other things. Number 1, Grayscale. So this is their latest numbers from yesterday, not today. They don't post on the weekend. So today, tomorrow, we're not going to see something. On Monday, we'll see something. But Bitcoin Bitcoin Trust is now over $24 billion. Billion dollars. This number keeps going up and up and up and up as clients keep buying more and more Bitcoin, more and more Bitcoin, just nonstop buying a Bitcoin, right? And also with something like Ethereum too, 3.5 billion. So it just keeps climbing and climbing and climbing. This is part of the reason why Bitcoin keeps going up, because big wealthy institutions, they can't get enough of Bitcoin right now, and they just keep buying and buying and buying and buying. And when you have this much buying on top of more buying, right, and demand keeps decreasing, well, you know what's going to happen. The price goes up, and that is why Bitcoin is at $41,000. You know, I was making a big deal at 30,000. I'm like, have you guys thought about Bitcoin being at 30,000? Right now, we're at 40,000. Pretty soon, we're going to see Bitcoin at 50,000. Right? It's insane how much Bitcoin has climbed within the last few months, right? But you still have people like Peter Schiff that will refuse to back down. They will refuse to acknowledge that they've been wrong, and they continue to be wrong. And he's sounding very, very, very salty indeed. Bitcoin has risen from pennies per coin, yes, when he could have bought some, to over $40,000, yet it has not disrupted anything. Neither central banks nor governments have lost any power. This will be true no matter how high the price of Bitcoin rises. Really? When Bitcoin is over $1 million and its market cap is in the tens of trillions, you don't think that's going to make central banks or governments lose any power? Really, Peter? But look at this. His last statement is even funnier. But 10,000 gold will be enough to collapse the fiat. Okay. Think about this. Right now, of course, 40,000, right? 40,000 Bitcoin sounds high. But let's not get fooled. First of all, okay, Bitcoin's market cap is still much smaller than gold because the supply, right? The supply of Bitcoin is capped. But we know Bitcoin is going up and up and up. But, you know, what Peter is talking about, 10,000 Bitcoin, 10,000 gold. 10,000 gold would give the market cap to be like, it'll be like 800 trillion or something like that. No, 80 trillion, something like that. Of course, that's going to have a disruption, right? Imagine when Bitcoin has $80 trillion in market cap. Of course, it's going to have the same effect, and even more so because you could do a lot more with Bitcoin. Right? So he's trying to skew the numbers, but overall, you look at this tweet, he's very salty indeed. And then that's not it. Let's look at this one. The idea that Bitcoin's price can only rise because demand is outstripping supply overlooks how quickly that dynamic can reverse. That's anything. You replace Bitcoin with Tesla. You replace this with Amazon, you replace those with Apple, right? That's a blanket statement. The price goes up because demand outweighs the supply, right? But of course, when that stops, it goes in reverse. But has it stopped for Apple? Has it stopped for Tesla? Has it stopped for Microsoft or Google or Facebook or any of these guys? No. But it has stopped for gold. That's why gold doesn't go up. But he's trying to apply to Bitcoin. Okay, and to continue, demand comes exclusively from speculators hoping to sell at higher prices. Duh, that doesn't just apply to Bitcoin. It applies to real estate, applies to any kind of collectibles, it applies to stocks, it applies to gold. If no one else is going to buy at a higher price, then how are you going to make any money? You're not. Of course, you expect someone else to buy it higher from you at some point. That's how you're going to make money. If no one else is going to buy it higher than you, of course, you're not going to make any money. So I don't know why that is applied to Bitcoin as a negative thing. If sentiment changes, demand will collapse as more supply hits the market. Well, that happened to gold for the last 12 years. Gold has gone nowhere. In fact, it has collapsed. While Peter Schiff in 2010 was going on TV telling people that gold would go to 5,000, what happened? It instead went down, right? And it's funny that he keeps trying to relate to Bitcoin before, like, oh, Bitcoin can't surpass 20,000, can't surpass 20,000. Well, now we're double 20,000 and he's still spewing the same kind of nonsense. You know what? The guy is just very, very salty. Very salty indeed. All right, there is one last thing. Oh, this is perfect time because Bitcoin is now pumping 41,240. So it did not surpass yesterday's high. Yesterday, we actually just hit, I believe, 42,000 right there. If you zoom in a little bit, right there, right? So we haven't broken the previous high yet, set yesterday, but we're coming close. We're coming close. So during the stream, maybe we break 42,000 again, and that would be fantastic. That would be fantastic. Lastly, I want to show you one more clip from this interview between Laura, I think Shin or She, and I really need to look up her real name, but she does a podcast. So she interviewed Chamath recently, and yesterday I showed a clip, where Chamath, he was asked whether or not he thinks, there's a next Bitcoin, right? Whether Ethereum is of interest to him. This one is very short, okay, only 1 minute, and this is basically, he believes that Bitcoin should not be called digital gold, right? And people may be wondering why. It's pretty obvious that Bitcoin is digital gold, a better version of digital gold, but why does Chamath not believe that? And his answer is actually really good, really good. So it's 1 minute. Let me play it for you guys. I know a lot of you guys gave me super chats. Thank you. I'm going to look at them right after this, so don't think I'm ignoring you. Let me play this. Alrighty. Let me turn on my desktop audio. I got my fancy stream deck, and it's working pretty good. All right, let's do this.
And one other thing is, you also said in another interview that you disagree with the narrative that Bitcoin is digital gold. And I wondered why you disagreed with that. I don't feel that that's necessarily something that's incompatible with the idea that it's an uncorrelated hedge.
Yeah, I think that when the problem is that people get very philosophically strict when they talk about gold. I think some people, frankly, own it because they believe that at some point we'll go back to a gold standard, or philosophically they believed so strongly in a gold standard. Other people legitimately do believe that there is some, industrial use, and that there is some portion of the trading value of it that ebbs and flows based on its industrial value, which isn't not untrue.
Okay, I want to stop right there because there's one other scenario that I've heard of a lot that Chamath doesn't talk about, and that's if the world goes in chaos. I have seen people say, you know what, Bitcoin is digital, so what if the electric grid goes down, right? Or what if the world goes into the Stone Ages again, right? Like, then you rather have gold bars because Bitcoin would not exist when there's no power, right? But then my response to that is this: if we do go into nuclear holocaust, if aliens invade, if somehow the world goes back to the Stone Ages, do you really think gold is going to be worth anything? During those times, food, water, bullets, and weapons will be worth a lot more than gold bars, right? So if you're actually buying or holding gold for that reason, I think you're doing it wrong. You rather just stock up on ammunition and canned foods and water, because if that scenario plays out, those things will be worth a lot more than your gold watch, right? So that's another thing that people are trying to say, but I just want to add that in.
I don't think enough people necessarily view it as like a pure inflation hedge or, market hedge. And so that's sort of my comment, which is that, to paint it in the brush of gold just, again, makes the explanation more complicated. And if you want mass market adoption, the one thing I've realized in anything, in any product, is you need true simplicity. And this is why, I would encourage people to really embrace the simplicity of what Bitcoin is, which is, it's basically schmuck insurance in case the people in charge really fuck it up.
And I apologize for not warning about the swear word, but that's really like, if you think about it, if you had to explain Bitcoin to someone, like within a sentence why you should buy it, that's a perfect explanation. Now, in the last video that I did, he called people buying Bitcoin schmucks or schmuck insurance. I didn't get that. I thought he was calling Bitcoiners schmucks, but no, he meant to say that the people in charge, like the federal governments and so forth, central banks, they're the schmucks. They don't know what they're doing, so you better buy some insurance against what they're doing. That is what Bitcoin is. That's a really good explanation. I haven't heard anyone else describe it like that. So if you had to describe what Bitcoin is to someone else, that's a perfect elevator pitch, I guess. All right, so let's go back to Bitcoin. It's above 41,000, like I said. So that's pretty good. So overall, I think Bitcoin is in a very, very good spot. Very good spot, right? Above 40,000. I mentioned about every 10,000, it's a psychological thing, right? Every 10,000, 10, 20, 30, 40, right, is a big milestone. And now we're at 40,000. We're hovering a little bit. And that's completely normal. Completely normal. Actually, for those of you guys that are day trading, I know most of you guys are holders, and that's the right way to do it. But for those of you guys that are day trading, you can make a killing because of some of these smaller drops, right? Pretty good swings. So those of you guys day trading, this is actually really good. But for those of you guys long-term holders, it's even better because right now, the volatility, the crazy volatility, right? I'm talking about like the 1,000, 2,000 point drops. A lot of people keep saying, Bitcoin's too high. The indicator is too high. There's going to be a 50% doomsday drop. Well, that's not coming. That's not coming because the institutions just keep buying more and more Bitcoin. Every time there's any kind of small sell-off, it just V-shaped recovery right back up, right? V-shaped recovery, V-shape, everything is a V-shaped recovery. And that's because the institutions just keep buying more and more. The whales that are doing this, unfortunately, I think they're getting wrecked. Every time they drop, they sell Bitcoin, it's being picked up. They don't even have an opportunity to buy it lower, right? So it just keeps up, right? And right now, holding at 40,000, fantastic. I know a lot of you guys want to see a new high every single day, and in fact, we might see a new high today. If we break 42,000, that's only 700 points away. We could actually honestly see that pretty soon. But at some point, we would like to see Bitcoin stall a little bit, right? Stall a little bit, take a breather, consolidate a little bit, and that's more healthy because then there's more momentum to push it to the next level, right? And also during those times, altcoins benefit a lot. So today I think altcoins a little bit better because the fact that Bitcoin's not pumping up so much, right? So a lot of you guys hold altcoins, and usually they go up when Bitcoin takes a breather, right? So when is that big breather coming? I don't know. Is it starting today? I don't think so because Bitcoin is still above 41,000 now. And it might break all-time high soon, but yeah, eventually that's gonna come. But right now, it just doesn't seem like that's the time. But anyways, all right, over 2,200, close to 2,200 people watching. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you smash the like, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, so you don't miss out on any of my future streams. Also follow me on Twitter and Facebook, and hit that notification bell. And if you want support me and get some exclusive content, then check out my Patreon page. I also have a Discord chat in there as well. All right, and then for those of you guys, at the beginning of the stream, I see a lot of comments. Oh, what's this clickbait? No, it's not clickbait, okay? Elon Musk did respond. Take a look. Ben says, I'll tell you one thing. I'm never turning down getting paid in Bitcoin again. And guess who replied? Elon Musk. Yes, this is a real Elon Musk with a blue check mark. So obviously he has Bitcoin on his mind. He wants to be paid in Bitcoin. He wants to get involved with Bitcoin. And I believe this is going to be announced very, very, very soon. Because Tesla has been going up sky high. The momentum must be kept, or there could be a gigantic correction for Tesla. So the best way to do it at this point, the best thing he could do is say, hey, I'm putting 5, 10, $20 billion into Bitcoin and watch it skyrocket and watch Bitcoin skyrocket with it too. That is coming. I'm 99.9% sure that is coming. I just don't know when, but it is going to come. All right, I'll turn it back to you guys. Spoke a lot. Let's do some Q&A. We got a lot of XRP army in here. Boston, welcome. Funky, welcome. I'm drinking Miller Lite. Miller Lite. Nicholas, seems like every day, you're gifted with more Bitcoin or higher Bitcoin, I should say. But it's probably an absolute nightmare for Peter Schiff, who's just he's losing his credibility, losing relevance at this point, right? And he's a laughing stock of Bitcoiners. Oh, by the way, I promised I was gonna go through all the super chats, so hopefully, no, they don't show up. I apologize, Blade Runner. I saw you had one. A couple other people had one. Unfortunately, the chat scrolled so much, so I can't scroll through again. I apologize. If you ask again, I'll try to answer. Donnie Lee, could or would you do 5 coins to 5 million of us? What? I don't know what you're talking about. Please confirm Grayscale did in fact add more BTC since 10K level. Could be pure. No, Shrine. I already told you. No, that's not the case. Look at Google Trends. And Grayscale did add. Like, this is not fake. They are actually audited. They have the Grayscale Trust listed. You know, GBDC, you can't just make figures up and then think that, oh, I could get away with it. No. This number has been going up dramatically. So, yes, institutions are buying from Grayscale. Unspecified sender, I'm in CST. So, just know that my schedule normally streams 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. That's why I always say Central Standard Time on weekdays. On weekends and nights, however, it's anytime. So that's why you guys need to hit that notification bell and follow me on Twitter and Facebook, because I post my videos on there. And I also tweet out when I'll have some of these streams. So make sure you guys follow. Just go to, if you're looking for the Grayscale page, just go to their website. Go to their Twitter page. And they post this on Twitter literally every single day. Every day. What's the best way to job search for openings with Bitcoin payments? I don't know if that exists. I guess you just have to ask your potential future employer, but then that might turn them off. So I don't know. That's a difficult thing to say. Hey, can you guys pay me in Bitcoin, like Elon said? Christopher Harvey, thank you. My portfolio is 50% in stocks, 50% in Bitcoin. I'm considering liquidating my stock for all Bitcoin 2021. What are your thoughts? Well, this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. But I think diversification like that is fine, because there are plenty of stocks that move pretty well too, right? So unless you're holding like non-movers, here's a funny story, because I was just talking to my mom the other day. She has a lot of stocks that's controlled, that's managed by a financial advisor, right? And she was complaining to me that basically for an entire year, the stocks have not moved. I'm like, how is that possible? In 2020, everything was moving. But then she's like, oh, the financial advisor, bought all these like dividend stocks, but they were non-moving, like Marble or AT&T, like the ones that don't move. I'm like, you just put that money in anything, any tech, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Tesla, you would have made like 300%. But but because the financial advisor said to put it into like stable stocks, stable ones that pay you 7% dividends, she lost out on so much. But anyways, going back to your story. I think this day and age, I heard someone explain this really well, that general retail investors get as much knowledge and foresight and insight into trends and companies, that there's so much knowledge available that you can actually outperform financial advisors. You can. There's a lot of people that do it. They do it all the time, right? So it just depends on what you're invested in. So Bitcoin is doing this, but there are stocks that go up just as much, right? Like Tesla. Tesla is even more like this. So it just depends on what you're holding. Am I in Vegas? No, I'm not in Vegas. Ethan, Litecoin pumping should be a fun night. It's only pumping because Bitcoin was not pumping. Bitcoin, when it stalls out, this is what I was saying. Like in the future, maybe Bitcoin at 50,000 or 60,000, I think it's going to take a breather, let some of the short-term indicators reset, just let things overall cool off a little bit. And that would be a great thing. Because when that happens, all the altcoins will go up like 5x, right? Right now, there's no breather times. It's so short that you have a day or two where altcoins go up and then just stall and come back down, right? And that's because Bitcoin keeps pumping higher and higher, is draining all the liquidity out. Everyone is concentrating on Bitcoin. But when Bitcoin finally stalls out a little bit, I'm talking about more than a day, maybe it stalls for like a week or 2 weeks or something like that, then you're going to see altcoins really explode up in a big way. So that may come around 50,000 or so, but I think this next week is going to be explosive. I think it's going to be very, very explosive. I don't know what Bitcoin toy you're talking about, VJ. The only thing we'll see if Sniv and Sell have 100K, I mean, why would you think that? There's no reason to think that. Institutions are not buying because they're like, okay, we're going to time it and sell it at 100,000. That's the mentality of retail investors and whales. But whales keep losing more and more Bitcoin by trying to sell, and the institutions are picking them up. These institutions are the smartest guys. When it comes to money, they buy and they hold and they buy and hold, and they all know Bitcoin is the future. Bitcoin is so scarce, you gotta own as much of it as you can right now. Otherwise, you're gonna be left in the dust. So there's no reason to think there's any set number that Bitcoin reaches will force it to go down in a big way. There'll be small corrections. There could be volatility. It doesn't mean that, oh, just because we hit 100,000, it's going to fall down 50% at 50,000. No, there's no reason to think that at all. 5 coins, Donnie. 5 coins that could give us a return this bull cycle, $5 million. There's none. I'll answer. I hate to sound harsh. None. If you're talking about like saying putting $1,000 into 5 coins, that'll turn into $5 million at the end of like this bull cycle, which should be 2021. The answer is none. None of them will do that. The one that will give you the most returns will be Bitcoin. So there could be other ones that have pumps here and there, but they're not consistent, and none of them is going to outperform Bitcoin in this run. So I'm just going to tell you that right off the bat. I should bring back that PowerPoint. That was so boring, but some of you guys loved it. Before, I rewatched some of my old videos from like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I gotta admit, I'll be the first to admit, some of them were just so damn boring. But you guys loved it because everyone's making money left and right, so it didn't matter, right? But still, I'm trying to be less like that. I don't plan on selling anytime soon. I made a mistake over the last 3 years trying to be smart, trying to time some tops and bottoms, and try to swing trade every so often. And guess what? Most of those cases, I lost Bitcoin. I lost more Bitcoin versus had I just held and done nothing, right? So in terms of taking profits right now, I'm not looking forward to it. I think Bitcoin's gonna go much higher. There might be swings here and there, but I think Bitcoin overall long haul next year, 2, 3, 5, Bitcoin is gonna be way higher than this. So there's no point of taking profits right now, unless you need it. See, in my case, I don't need to sell to live off of. But if you guys are overinvested and or if you do actually need to live off of this income, then that's a different story. Then profit taking is very important, right? But if you guys are just holding and it's just like extra income that you don't actually need, why would you not hold it longer, right? D. Thomas. That's kind of true. Kind of true. Joe says, I got a car with a high interest, so it makes sense to de-risk a bit and pay that off, have twice as much in crypto than any other category. See, like that makes sense, right? If you have a car payment with high interest, you want to get rid of that debt. Get rid of it, right? So if you could take profits with Bitcoin or crypto and you can pay that off, that is fantastic. That's what you're supposed to do, right? But, if you're thinking about, like, let's say, oh, I'm going to take out an equity loan on my house, that's bad. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. So it just depends on what your situation is. Do you think the famous rainbow chart will be ignored this cycle? I don't know what rainbow chart you're talking about. Nicholas, appreciate it. Man, this chat is booming. Come on, can't you guys tell what I'm drinking? Oh, I guess not because I'm facing this way. A little like cheap stuff. Cheap stuff. Hey, thank you. Condre? I think that's how you say it. Condre, appreciate it. Why is XRP going up? That's a good question. I did research that. I'm gonna let you guys know why it's going up at the end of this chat. Check out total market cap. You know what? I would not be surprised if it's above 1.1 trillion. Yep. When we broke 1 trillion, I think just 3 days ago, right? I said, you know what? It's going to be 1.1, 1.2. It's going to go on and on and on. And that is fantastic. I mean, to think that the overall market cap, even though there's 8,000, let's just say shit coins, very little of them are actually really useful. It's amazing that we have over $1.1 trillion. Most of it's in Bitcoin. You know, almost 800 billion in Bitcoin. But pretty darn amazing. I can't wait. I can't wait until Bitcoin is over $1 trillion, and then 2 trillion, and then 5 trillion, right? That's when it's go get really, really interesting. Andre, I appreciate your concern. Okay, here. I have this cup. This cup is water. I'll drink some water. This chat is going so fast, I don't even know what to answer anymore. If you had to choose BTC or Tesla or NEO, Which has the most return in the future? Well, here's the thing. Why not buy all three? NIO is still very experimental, right? I mean, they're nowhere close to the size of Tesla, but they're pumping like Tesla. So you got to be careful with them, but you could use it. You could put a small amount in there. BTC and Tesla, for me, I think it's like pretty darn close. Although I think Tesla's go top out way before Bitcoin will. Short term, Tesla could be pumping more because there's just so much hype around it and everyone wants a piece of Tesla. But it can only go up so much before it's too overbought and too overvalued. Where that doesn't exist with Bitcoin. Bitcoin could go up infinitely without being overbought and overvalued. So I mean, but to answer your question, why not all three? Just split it up. Split it up. And that way, if you're wrong about one, the two others will make up for it. Bitcoin 41.4. Hey, maybe we could break 42 in this stream. If we break 42, that's gonna be pretty darn good. I think it's too late. I can't put it in slow mode. Sometimes at the beginning when I create the stream, I can put it in slow mode, but usually there's not this much talking, but everyone is like going crazy today. Buy more BTC or wait for correction and dips. The easy ways to do it is just dollar cost average. Ignore the price, set a schedule every week, every 2 weeks, every Monday, every paycheck day. Set a schedule where you put a little amount into Bitcoin, what you could afford to put in, and not go too, not to be too greedy or anything. That's the way to do it. Ignore the price. You're dollar cost averaging over the long haul, right? So that way, maybe you buy a little bit at 41,000, and then maybe 2 weeks from now, you're buying a little at 50,000. But let's say there's a big correction, and then maybe you buy a little bit at 35,000, right? You're dollar cost averaging over the long haul. That way, there's no stress, no fear, nothing. And, a lot of people have done that very successfully until they became multimillionaires. So, Mara and Riot stocks are also insane. That's why the one person that asked me, should I sell my stocks to go into Bitcoin? It really depends. And again, you don't have to limit yourself, right? You could go in all of them. You don't have to, but I've been saying during my streams, if you want indirect exposure to Bitcoin, look at all the companies that have Bitcoin or that are involved with Bitcoin. For example, MicroStrategy or Bitcoin mining company stocks, right? Or, like Square or PayPal. They're all doing well. Every single one is doing well. So that's another way to do it. I don't think that Ethereum is going to pump more than Bitcoin, if that's what you're asking. Overstock? No, I got off the bandwagon for Overstock because Patrick Bryan went crazy. He was like the biggest Bitcoin bull, and then just like went off on a tangent saying that he was like hired by the CIA to kill Russian spies or something like that. So I got off of Overstock because of that. Kevin, thank you for that. I think this bull run won't be like the rest. All bull markets are based on the halving, but this time around there's no downward pressure because miners are selling directly to institutions. I think you got the half right, but I think bull markets will still continue because of the halving, right? But I think what you're thinking is the cycle is different because there's no reason it should go down, and I agree with you on there. I think this will be the one cycle that will basically break all previous trends. Previous trends, 85% drop after top, and then it starts to cycle over again. But this time around, I don't think there's that 85% drop. I think once we get above 100, 200, 300,000, we just stayed there. Maybe we don't go up as much anymore, but we kind of just stay there until 2024 when the next halving comes. And then people realize, well, now 900 Bitcoins go drop to 450 Bitcoin per day. We better buy more of it. And then it causes the price to go from that level to even a higher level. So I think the 4-year cycle still exists. It's just that the cycle where you see like crypto winter and Bitcoin go down, that could be no more. that could be no more starting from 2021. So at the end of 2021, going to 2022, Bitcoin just stay up there and stay up there forever. There's no reason to think it'll go down when institutions are planning on holding for 5 to 10 years and maybe even longer. How long do you think Bitcoin will take to reach 100,000? Man, at this point, if the new administration and the Fed and everyone else continues to print, there's supposedly another 2,000 stimulus check that's being rolled out soon, and there's going to be more, relief packages and so forth, where they just keep printing and printing and printing and printing. That's going to have two really good effects on Bitcoin. Not only will that help drive the markets higher, the broader market, stock markets, right? It'll make a lot of wealthy people even more money. And guess what they're going to do with that money? They're going to invest and they're going to diversify and they're going to put a lot of that in Bitcoin. So that's number one. Number two is then you have the very, very, very big smart wealthy investors like the Bill Millers, Paul DeTore Jones, Chamath, these guys, right? They're afraid of inflation. So they're looking at, hedging against inflation. And guess what? That's going to cause them to buy Bitcoin even more, right? So I think going forward, this 2021 can be fantastic. It's like a perfect storm for Bitcoin. You have stocks that's going to be doing very well. That money's going to flow into Bitcoin. Then you have people that's afraid of inflation that's going to be putting their money into Bitcoin. And let's not forget COVID and the vaccine pandemic, right? That's going to come to a conclusion later this year. Maybe not right now, but by summer, by fall time, the economy will be booming again. People will be back to work. Stores will open again. People will love to travel, right? So that is why I think 2021 will be fantastic for Bitcoin. Fantastic. More than fantastic. It's like the best of the best. And it's the year after halving event. So to answer your question, 100,000, I'm just going to throw out there, I'm just going to say April. I'm going to say 100,000 in April. All right. That's only 3 months from now, but I'm going to say end of April, we're going to see Bitcoin at 100,000. That might be a conservative number because we may see that even in end of February or March, right? Because Bitcoin at 40,000, going to 40 to 100,000 is not that far of a stretch now. When we were at 5,000 to 100,000, that's a stretch. But 40,000 to 100,000, not so much a stretch, especially when we could be at 50,000 next week. Right? So I'm going to say April. Litecoin is people's coin. Why? Why is that people's coin? That doesn't make any sense. The Bitcoin is people's coin. Litecoin would be like the people's silver coin. Citadel's incoming. Yeah, those of you guys that remember when I covered Bitcoin Time Traveler, he talked about Bitcoiners sitting high up on these citadels looking down on everyone. I mean, that that's sounding more and more like a reality. Take the Bitcoin chart, flip it upside down. That is USD value. You know what? Thank you for that. You don't need to do that. You don't have to, try to imagine it. Go to the site, usdsats.com. USDsats, this will show you how much the dollar is inflating and devaluing itself over time, especially when compared to sats, compared to Bitcoin. Had you held a dollar from basically 4 years ago to now, it has devalued itself 98% against Bitcoin. 98%. Even if you held a dollar from 1 year ago, it devalued itself 80% against Bitcoin. 80%. Think about that. Your purchase power in terms of buying a Bitcoin has gone down 80% within a year versus Bitcoin. It's no coincidence that all assets in 2020 shot up to the moon, right? And I'm not just talking about crypto and Bitcoin. It's also stocks, Tesla stocks, also real estate, Houses are jumping, right? It's also collectibles. Like I like sports cards, Pokemon cards, sneakers, right? It's no coincidence they're all going up. It's because the dollar is devaluing itself right in front of your eyes. The purchasing power of a dollar keeps going down and down and down when so much is being printed and released on the market. It has to. Just think about it. If the supply goes up by 20%, well, then everything devalues by 20%, right? But it's going higher than that. It keeps going up and up and up and up. So this is the best way to think about it. If you don't want to think that Bitcoin is actually going up, great. Bitcoin is staying steady. It's the dollar that's devaluing itself against Bitcoin. So think about it that way. All right, guys. I think I said enough. I'll let you guys go. It's been a long stream. It's a good stream. 2,300 people tuned in. Make sure you smash up the like, subscribe to the channel, right? So I made the headline. Newsflash, Elon Musk wants to be paid in Bitcoin. That is not clickbait. That is actually true. And I do believe in a very, very, very near future, Elon will announce that he will be buying Bitcoin. And it's going to send Bitcoin to the moon. And it's going to send Tesla to the moon. I mean, just imagine the marriage between Tesla Zeits and Bitcoiners, okay? You can combine two of the most loyal cult-like followings, and you combine it together, and it will simply dominate the world. It would create a partnership and a conglomerate. No, I don't know how to say that. But it would create the biggest partnership that the world has ever seen with the most loyal subjects ever in history, right? And those types of organizations are the ones that become the biggest and richest of the world, or most powerful in the world. It's already there, but it would get even stronger. So I think that's really coming around. And then I can't wait until Elon says that you could buy Teslas directly with Bitcoin. I think that's not far-fetched. That would cause a big thing. But there's so much. There's so much that's coming for this. But even before that happens, you know what? Bitcoin is doing fine. I'm not saying that Bitcoin is dependent on it, but I would think that would really be like throwing gasoline on top of a campfire. It's going to have that kind of effect, and I think that is coming around the corner. All right, guys, that is it. Thanks for watching. I do have, for those of you guys that was wondering why XRP is going up, I have a perfect explanation. So take a look at this short video, and I will see you guys tomorrow. All right?
What do you think about Ripple?
Well, I mean, I think it's too centralized, but I definitely want to meet Chris Larson.